Hello everybody and welcome back to Typical City. Toni Kroos in January. Would you take him? Because it's not the first time we've been linked with him, albeit the rumours were suggesting City would approach for Toni Kroos in the summer of 2024. Now, thanks to Real Tolmy's Twitter account, he's suggesting that City are willing to pay a small fee in January for him, which may be jumping the gun a little bit because we do have Kovacic and Nunes, of course, but Toni Kroos, one hell of a player. But there are certain downsides to the signing of Toni Kroos, which I'll get onto. But before I do, I just wanted to condemn those Manchester City fans that were chanting vile things about Bobby Charlton. Rest in peace, Bobby Charlton, albeit he played for Manchester United. Who cares, man? The guy was a legend of the game. He might be a legend for Manchester United, but he was a legend of the game. And we've recently had to deal with Francis Lee's passing, which has been really tragic and upsetting time for Manchester City fans, seeing another one of our legends pass away, sadly, after Colin Bell last year did the same. You know, if United fans went out there and chanted those sort of things about Colin Bell or Francis Lee, we'd be in uproar, City fans. We'd be in uproar for the fact that I know it's a minority. We're talking about a group of probably about 5 or 6 16-year-olds, infants, childs, that they don't know what they're doing. They don't understand. They need to grow up and they need to be educated, clearly. But now we're having to deal with Manchester United fans coming at Manchester City fans and tarnishing us all with the same brush, as if we're all that stupid and that moronic. It's not the case. The media are now stoking the fires ahead of the derby game as well, which is going to make the atmosphere even more toxic and tense, thanks to those 5 dickheads, basically. There's no better word for describing chants like that and fans that chant those types of things. There's just no place for it. And if you are a subscriber to this channel and you chant those types of things, please, you know where the subscribe button, you click it again and you unsubscribe. So help yourself, unsubscribe. You're not welcome here. I don't think it's appropriate in any walks of life. Football is absolutely included in that. So anyway, on to the potential signing of Toni Kroos in January. I think it could be a good signing in some ways and a not so good signing, and a signing that needs an explanation in other ways. His age is the first thing that leaps out. It reminds me of the Frank Lampard signing, that type of signing that seems like it's papering over some cracks, a temporary quick fix type of situation. What the intentions are for Pep Guardiola having to sign Toni Kroos. Why would you want Toni Kroos with Kovacic and Nunes and John Stones, who's now stepped up to the plate, and of course Rodri? Calvin Phillips is the obvious one that I think is, City fans are looking at him as the back of him really now, aren't we? We're expecting his imminent departure, whether that's in January or summer. That's also on Real Tolmy's Twitter account being linked as part of the deal. If Calvin Phillips goes, that bodes and opens up the door for the potential move of Toni Kroos. Now let's talk about the positives. Why? He's a pass master. He's one of the best in the world, probably the best passer of the ball in the world. And there are metrics out there to prove it. Those of you that don't follow the metric side of the game, I know some people prefer just using the eye test, and some people prefer using metrics to prove their points. I like to look at both because I do think there's some metrics that can't be covered in certain aspects of the game, but the technology we have now is getting better and better. So you're all probably familiar with XG. X-Pass is now included in the game, expected passes, which has been introduced in 2021, 2022. You can go and research what expected passes is, but basically it covers what is an expected pass, because I know a lot of fans look at the pass completion, but that doesn't take into consideration the difficulty of the pass. What X-Pass takes into consideration is how difficult the pass was to complete, because you do your 5-yard sideways passes, your Ruben Diaz type of passes, which is why his pass completion rate is always so high, because the passes he's making is a 5-yard to the left or 5 yards to the right. Kevin De Bruyne's pass completion is usually a lot lower than that, but he's trying the difficult one, and that's where X-Pass comes in. How difficult was the pass to complete, and what is your expected pass over the course of 90 minutes? And here are the metrics for Toni Kroos in the top 5 European leagues. And as you can see, leading the way as the top passer of the ball in the top 5 European leagues in 2022 and 2023, with some big names on there, a surprise name as well, Manuel Reimann of Bochum in Germany. But Toni Kroos top over the course of 90 minutes. This is an overperformance. So he's completing 4.5 more passes in the expected 90 minutes than all of these other players that are beneath him. Okay, this is the top 5. So Toni Kroos, Marco Verratti of PSG, Manuel Reimann of Bochum, Benjamin Pavard of Bayern Munich, Niklas Süle of Dortmund, Luka Modric of Real Madrid. Rodri's in there with 2.2 alongside Sergio Ramos of PSG. So you can see full well there's the metrics to prove it, that this is arguably the best passer of the ball in Europe right now as well, because those stats were last season. He is still playing football at Real Madrid, believe it or not, and he's still getting a decent amount of game time. In fact, let's get some of his stats up. We'll start with last season's statistics though. So I wanted to look at his attacking stats first of all. This is 2022-23, where he played a big role in Real Madrid season last season, getting 52 appearances, 3,813 minutes, 2 goals, 6 assists, and there's your passing accuracy. As you can see, 94% passing accuracy, which is pretty incredible really over the course of the 52 appearances. 1.6 key passes per game as well. Now, the issue is why I'm concerned about him is if he's coming in as defensive midfield, what's his defensive abilities like? And they start to look not so good. And with age becoming a factor of Toni Kroos, is he going to be able to do that powerhouse, that box-to-box role of John Stones? Absolutely not. Maybe he could play alongside Rodri in the type of games where we are expecting to have a lot of the ball and very little defending to do. But those games are few and far between in the Premier League now. You're expected to defend in 5-10 minute spells against any team. Even Sheffield United posed a threat going the other way, and we conceded a goal when we had to defend for like 5-10 minutes during that second half against Sheffield United. So even the bottom teams of the Premier League are mounting attacks over a sustained period of time, no matter which Premier League game it is. So there aren't going to be many games where we can afford the luxury of playing a player that can't defend. Now, saying he can't defend is a little bit harsh because he can. Last season defensively wasn't bad. So, yeah, there's your tackles per game. 2 tackles per game he was completing. He had 0 errors leading to a shot or a goal, which is impressive. 0.8 interceptions per game. Yeah, that's not great. Rodri's more than double that. Clearances, 0.2. Again, not really his side of the game to be clearing the ball, but still, defensively, okay. I just remember playing against him at the Etihad and at the Bernabeu as well, and we were running rings around him at time, and his pace can be exposed. And Rodri's not the quickest either. I think John Stones covers the ground much better than Rodri does, and those two still will be the go-to, even if we were to get Toni Kroos in January. But still, I'm not convinced that this is the right signing to make. Are we looking at potentially an experienced head in the dressing room? Someone to have be a voice, a presence in the dressing room. That could he go on to be a coach at Manchester City? I know Pep Guardiola and Toni Kroos have got a really tight relationship in that 1 year that he had at Bayern Munich when he was under Pep Guardiola. Their relationship was very strong as well. There's other areas of his game that could be a positive in the starting 11 for Manchester City. Set pieces, corners mainly, not so much free kicks, but corners, he's very decent from his corner. His corner taking ability is through the roof. Incredible. Right now we're relying on Julian Alvarez, who's okay. But without Kevin De Bruyne, have we got anyone to whip in corners with our giants that we've got in that box? Are we missing opportunities by not having a decent corner taker alongside Kevin De Bruyne? Because normally it was Ilkay Gundogan. Phil Foden's hit and miss. Ilkay Gundogan and Kevin De Bruyne are very reliable corners. Alvarez is okay, Phil Foden's okay, but Toni Kroos would take that corner to another level for Erling Haaland, John Stones, Ruben Diaz, Rodri, all these big, Erling Haaland as well, of course, all these big guys we've got that can get on the end of corners, and we're not making use of it. This season, 12 appearances so far, so even at the age of 33, he's still getting in the Real Madrid team and playing a lot of football. 6 of those appearances are off the bench, though. 3 of the others he went off, left the pitch as a substitute, going off the pitch. So he's only got 628 minutes to his name, but he's still got a goal. Attacking-wise, he's better than last season. He's even more effective in the attacking side of the game, with a goal and 3 assists already. Not bad at all for a defensive midfielder. 95% pass completion, that's gone up. 2.6 key passes per game, that's gone up as well. Now that's the defending side of the game and the age that's starting to take a toll on him, because as you can see, the tackles have dropped massively. 2 last season, dropped to 0.6. He's made an error leading to a shot and a goal already, 0.4 interceptions and 0.3 clearances. That's the issue with Toni Kroos for me, and the signing that I think could be a bit of a luxury signing, a player that's going to do wonderful things on the ball. And maybe we look at the verticality of City right now and the way we play is very an emphasis on carrying the ball in the final third, and Pep signed players with an emphasis on dribbling. And it's too early to judge why he's done that yet, to actually see why he's playing these players that have a carrying of the ball ability. And it is too early to really judge exactly what Pep's thinking in signing players that can carry the ball. But what we have seen is a bigger exposure at the back. We're more susceptible to counter-attacks, in particular without Rodri, of course. And Toni Kroos can offer a springboard for the other players to carry the ball. Your Jeremy Doku's of this world. Kovacic could possibly play ahead in an attacking midfield role. Probably not going to get ahead of Alvarez right now, but Phil Foden carrying the ball. Doku carrying the ball, having Kroos and Rodri behind those type of players as a springboard for those guys to do their thing, go and affect the game, carrying the ball, and we can still have that control and that security of possession with Rodri and Kroos. Stones offers the same level of security for me, because you saw his pass completion against whoever we beat at the weekend. What did we? Brighton, of course, we beat Brighton at the weekend. 100% passing completion from John Stones. So, we've got security already. You just signed Toni Kroos and you wonder, why did we sign Nunes and why did we sign Kovacic? I think one of those would have made sense. But to then go and get Toni Kroos on top of those two players, you question the Nunes one because chronologically he was the second signing after Kovacic, and then Kroos coming in as well. You're wondering why. What would you do though, Blues? Would you take him in January for a small fee? What that fee is remains to be seen. I mean, you don't really want to be breaking the bank for these types of players who are entering. In summer, he'll be 34, so you don't really want to be signing a player that's turning 34 and spending any more than 10, 15 million on them, really, do you? Considering what we signed for Kovacic for, who's 29, sorry. So, you're losing years, but would he become a coach? Would he be a presence in the dressing room? Would he be the type of player that you could bring on in the last 10, 15 minutes of games to see them out and have complete control? Ideal performance would have been against Brighton at 2-0 up. You bring on Toni Kroos and you just dictate play. You keep the ball. You don't let the opposition have the ball. They can't score a goal and you see out the game. Could he be that type of player? I can't see him starting that many games for City if we were to go for him in January. But what do you think, Blues? Do you think it's worth it? Would you go for Toni Kroos in January? Would you wait until summer, or would you just not go for him at all? Get your comments in below. I really want to hear them. Like and subscribe. Typical City is the channel, and I'll see you in the next one.
This is typical City now.